Key steps in implementing CTEM. Implementing CTEM involves a systematic 5-step process that helps organizations proactively manage and mitigate cybersecurity risks. Implementing CTEM is a continuous cycle, as the threat landscape is always evolving. Organizations must regularly revisit each step to adapt to new threats and changes in their digital environment. Scoping. This initial phase is about defining what needs to be protected within the organization. It involves understanding the assets, systems, and data that are critical to the business and could be potential targets for cyber threats. Discovery. In this stage, the organization actively seeks out and identifies vulnerabilities and weaknesses in the scoped assets. This includes using tools and technologies to scan for and analyze potential security issues across the organization's attack surface, which encompasses external, internal, and cloud environments. Prioritization. After discovering vulnerabilities, the next step is to prioritize them based on their potential impact on the business. This involves assessing the severity, exploitability, and the criticality of the potential impact to the business, as well as any compensating security controls. Validation. This phase is crucial for ensuring that the organization's vulnerability to threats has been accurately assessed and that the remediation operations are effective. It typically involves practices like penetration testing and red team exercises to simulate attacks and validate the protections in place. Mobilization. The final step involves operationalizing the findings from the CTEM process. This means putting in place the necessary actions to correct identified risks and ensuring that all teams within the organization are informed and aligned with the security efforts. This may include automating mitigation through integration with SIEM and SOAR platforms, as well as establishing communication standards and documented cross-team workflows. Scoping phase. The scoping phase is the initial stage in the CTEM framework. It involves defining the scope of the CTEM program, determining which systems, assets, and infrastructure segments will be included, and identifying the stakeholders who will be involved. During this stage, security teams need to understand what matters most to their business in order to define the scope. This includes identifying the key attack surfaces where vulnerabilities can be managed. The scoping process ensures accurate identification of critical and vulnerable systems, which makes it the foundational step in devising security measures. The scoping stage forms the foundation of the CTEM program and is essential to its overall success as it establishes the framework for the subsequent stages. It is crucial to include all relevant areas under the scope of CTEM, such as external attack surfaces and cloud environments, to avoid leaving any potential breach points exposed. Discovery phase. The discovery phase is the second stage in the CTEM framework. This phase involves identifying and cataloging all vulnerable resources within the organization, such as hardware, software, databases, and network infrastructure. During the discovery phase, businesses use a wide variety of IT discovery tools and methods to audit all their IT resources. This often includes conducting vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, and other security audits. The goal is to actively seek out and identify potential vulnerabilities within the organization's systems and assets. It's important to involve a diverse team of experts in the discovery stage, including IT personnel, security personnel, and other employees who may have a unique perspective on potential vulnerabilities. This ensures that all potential threats are identified and evaluated. The discovery phase serves as the bridge between the scoping and prioritization phases in the CTEM process. After the scoping phase, where the key attack surfaces and stakeholders are identified, the discovery phase focuses on the in-detail identification of all assets and vulnerabilities. Prioritization phase. The prioritization phase is the third stage in the CTEM framework. This phase is crucial as it helps organizations identify what high-value assets need to be prioritized, as not everything can be protected at once. During the prioritization phase, organizations evaluate the potential vulnerabilities identified in the discovery phase based on how likely they are to be exploited and the potential impact this would have on the organization. This involves assessing the severity, exploitability, and the criticality of the potential impact to the business, as well as any compensating security controls. The primary purpose of prioritization is to create a task list to reduce risk efficiently. This enables organizations to optimally allocate their resources, ensuring effective utilization. Prioritization helps organizations determine which assets are most critical and need the highest level of protection. The prioritization phase is an ongoing process that involves continually assessing, ranking, and selecting which assets require immediate attention. This phase is dynamic and needs to be adaptable to address evolving threats effectively. Validation phase. The validation phase is the fourth stage in the CTEM framework. This phase is crucial as it verifies the effectiveness of the organization's cybersecurity posture and the measures taken to control and decrease vulnerabilities. During the validation phase, organizations evaluate how they would handle an actual attack and assess their ability to defend against it. This involves using tools like breach and attack simulation (BA) and security control validation to test the organization's defenses against simulated threats. The validation phase ensures that the plans for addressing the vulnerabilities and threats identified in the prioritization phase are effective. This could involve adding additional safeguards, updating software, or changing security settings. It's also important to involve a wide range of stakeholders in the validation phase, including IT personnel, security personnel, and other relevant teams. This ensures that the validation process is comprehensive and that the remediation measures are effective across the organization. Mobilization phase. The mobilization phase is the final stage in the CTEM framework. This phase is about operationalizing the findings from the CTEM process and implementing the necessary actions to correct identified risks. During the mobilization phase, organizations put into action the plans for addressing the vulnerabilities and threats identified in the prioritization phase and validated in the validation phase. This could involve adding additional safeguards, updating software, or changing security settings. This phase also involves ensuring that all teams within the organization are informed and aligned with the security efforts. This may include automating mitigation through integration with security information and event management (SIEM) and security orchestration, automation, and response (SOAR) platforms, as well as establishing communication standards and documented cross-team workflows. The mobilization phase is crucial as it drives the message that remediation cannot be entirely automated and requires human intervention. It emphasizes the need for security leaders to mobilize a response and remove exposures from the environment.